Hi, good evening, everybody. I will be tonight moderator. Good evening, Kaya Namita. Welcome to Sutta Discussion Day 18 by Bhante Dr. Gangodawila Chandima. I'm Brother Nip. On behalf of Ti-Ratana Vihara Klang, will be your moderator. With a blessing from the Chief Reverend, Dato K. Sri Ratana, this class will be broadcast by Zoom as well as the Ti-Ratana Vihara Klang Facebook page and YouTube channel. Our speaker, Bhante Dr. Gangodawila Chandima, is the senior advisor to Sota. Sota is a virtual Dharma organization that helps beginners as well as expert students in learning the Dharma in variety ways. You can check the Sota with the link www.patisota.blogspot.com. Any people are interested in Dhamma Pariyesana, Sota's most acclaimed interview series, which Bhante conducted on regular basis. In 2015, Bhante Dr. Chandima earned a PhD in a Buddhist study from a university in Jayawardenepura in Sri Lanka. From 2012 to 2016, Bhante served as a Theravada Buddhist chaplain at the University of the British Columbia, Vancouver, Canada. And in 2016, was a research fellow at the Center of Religion and Society of University of Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. Without further ado, we welcome Bhante Dr. Chandima. Welcome, Bhante, and thank you very much for tonight's talk. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Lim, Aliana, for facilitating the rest of the officials over there. And we see regular folks joining from different places. Today is going to be day 18 of the whole discussion series. And we have come down to verse number 11. So I plan to discuss verse number 11 and verse number 12, and then leaving verse number 30. Sorry, plan to do verse number 11, 12, and 13 because they are kind of a set of the flow. And then verse number 14 is about the sangha, and the rest of the final stanzas, I would say 15, which has 3 more stanzas, will be done next Friday. So that means we will be finishing Ratana Sutta next week. So we may have some questions about the whole sutta at the end. And then we will be moving on to Metta Sutta after that. We have a new member here, one of my friends, Lucy. She's from the Philippines. She used to be in Singapore, but nowadays she's in Philippines, joining from somewhere. So when somebody wants to join in, I normally send what you call the playlist of the previous videos, as well as some of the manuals, I would say, Mangal Sutta and Ratana Sutta, which we have done so far. So they have something technical which they can refer to, rather than come here and then see what's going on, you know. He's talking and we're listening. Yeah, so that's the plan. Okay, so shall we respect to the Buddha 3 times? Buddha Dhamma Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavatu arahatu samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavatu arahatu samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavatu arahatu samma sambuddhassa. Okay, so without further ado, we'll be looking at verse number 14. Sorry, I come a bit further. Verse number 11. So who's gonna read verse number 11? Maybe I could ask someone who has not been able to recite. Bella, you wanna try? Just give it a try. There's no harm in trying.
Okay,
Yeah,
verse number 11, right?
yeah, verse number 11.
Okay.
Kincha.
Kincha pi so kamang karoti pa pakang kayena vaja yuttha ceta sa wa apap po so tassa paticca kaya apap pata pittha patatsa vuttaอิธัมปิสังเครัตนังปณีตังเอเตนะสัจเจนะสุวัตถิโหตุ
Yeah. Kinchapi so kammang karoti papam kayena vacha uda chetasava. Bella, what did you say instead of uda? I think the Thai version might be a little different. Kayena vacha.
กายนะวาจายุทธะ
See, that's a different variant, but it's okay, the same idea. Uda means oh, this or that. Oh. The Thai version has the variants, but the same idea. Don't worry about it. Uda, Chetasawa.
เจตสาว
Yeah. Ababbu. Not ababbu. Ababbu.
อัปพัปโป
Abba.
อัปปะ
It's
โป
the aspirate. Aspirate. Not ababbu.
อัปปะโป
Ababbu. The aspirate. Ababbu. So, yeah.
โสตัส
Paticca. Not paticca. Paticca daya. Abhabhata. Again, abha, the same. When you see h consonant, right? That means you have to sort of lay emphasis there, right? Abhabhata, dittha, yes, h again. Dittha padassa vutta. The rest is the same. Idam pisanghe ratanam panitam etena satchena suvattiho. Now, this verse is also about the sangha. Sangha doesn't mean only the monks. There are many types of sangha, especially Sotapanna, path and fruit, Sakadagami, path and fruit, Anagami, path and fruit, and Arahant, path and fruit. And also we have another way of looking at sangha, Bhikkhu, Bhikkhuni, Upasaka, Upasaka. So, Bhikkhu Sangha, Bhikkhuni Sangha, Upasaka Sangha, Upasika Sangha, which means the lay people, like laymen here, the male devotees, they are called Upasaka Sangha if they have attained the Sota, right? Not as a normal general lay person. We have here lay women, the female devotees, we call them Upasika. So we call them not only Upasika, Upasika Sangha. That means those female devotees who have attained at least the path of what we call Sota. Okay. So that is another classification. But what we take as Sangha in the Ratana Sutta is Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, Arahat in two ways, path and fruit. So is this the final Is this the final description about the sangha? Now, Dhamma is already finished here. What do you call the verses about Dhamma? The Buddha again. There are two more verses to come. The next one and the other one after the next one. How about the sangha? Have we already finished about the sangha with this? No, there is one more verse about the sangha. It's going to be verse number 14, which we will be discussing next week. Let's see. Some of the ideas here are connected to the previous stanza. So it's pretty not that difficult to understand. Kinchapi. Kinchapi means whatever. In Pali, kinchapi, whatever. I don't say when you talk to somebody, whatever. Kinchapi. Kinchapi, whatever. So kammang. Okay, so means sotapanna person. Okay. Kammang, papaka kammang karot. Whatever papa kamma is to be done by sotapanna person. In what methods, in what formats, moods is the sotapanna going to make papa kamma here? Kayena, vacha, cetasa. So that means whether by body and what you call speech and the thoughts, mind. So now we need to change va is o, uda means whether. Change the idea that I told you at the beginning. Uda means whether. Okay, the Pali idea. Uda means whether. Whether by kayana means body. Vacha means speech. Cetasa means the mind. Now the problem is there are a couple words for the mind, right? Cetasa. How do we take it? Cetasa, chintayati. Think, right? Do you have any thoughts about the Pali words that are being used for the mind? In English, we have only one word, mind. There's only one mind, right? Some people assume that the mind could be inside the brain. That's the normal Western psychological analysis. But in Buddhism, we say the mind does not have a place in the body. How do we call it? Durangamang ekacharang asarita. Mind has no body. Because if you say mind is somewhere with our hands, then you could actually locate the mind around the hands. Mind is everywhere. That means there are different analytical ways to understand the mind. So we say there's one word called mano. Mano means the mind. That means the physical sense faculty. That means what you call by the mind that we are given when we are born. What are the other Pali words for the mind? Or mentally related stuff.
How about
Very interesting
chitta?
question. Chitta is another Pali word. What do you think about the chitta? Is chitta more used than the mano, mind? What is more used across the Theravada Pali canon? Let's go to Satipatthana Sutta. Kayanupassana, Vedananupassana, Chittanupassana, Manonupassana. No Manopassana, Chittanupassana. That's an interesting place to understand the importance of the Pali word called chitta. That means chitta is more prevalent, more important to understand the mental stuff. The Buddha said there are 16 types of chitta. Saraga, Sadosa, Samoha, Vikitta, Sankitta, what else? Moha. There are many types of chittas in the Chitta Anupassana. I think it's around 16 types of chitta. Now, rather than saying there is only one word called mind, called mano, the Buddha says, no, it's the body, feelings, and then the thoughts. So people do not struggle with the mind, people struggle with the thoughts. Right? The same thing. that's interesting. What is another word for this mental process that we need to understand? So we talk about mano, then the chitta. Are there any other very important words about the mind in the Pali canon? Mano, chitta, and then are there any other words? At least one word, one Pali term in Pali that we normally use to understand something about the mind? What if somebody asks you, a non-Buddhist, hey, can you tell me 3 Pali words about the mind? How are you going to answer to that person? You can say, oh, the mind. Huh?
Is it sati?
A sati is a quality of the mind. It's not a word that we understand the mind. It's a quality. Samma sati, miccha sati.
Excuse me, Bhante.
Yeah.
How about hataya?
Sorry?
Hataya. I don't know it's correct pronunciation or not.
Can you spell?
Hataya. It's Pali or not? I don't know.
Hataya.
Yes.
Could you spell that? No idea. Hataya.
Hataya. Yeah, something like that. No.
There's a nice, interesting intonation about that term, but I don't find it in Pali. Hataya.
Okay.
Not
Thank you.
Not to my knowledge.
Thank you.
Other
Thank
Dhamma
you.
folks, any thoughts about any other Pali word about the mind? Oh, it's taking time. Vijnana. Have you heard about this? Somebody writing here. Chan, WH. Found it. You nailed it down. Vijnana. What is Vijnana? What is Vijnana? Mano, Chitta, Vijnana. What is Vijnana? Vijnana is a developed state of the mind. That's the proper way to say it. Now we have the mind. We get it once we born, and then in that mind we can see a lot of thoughts, chitta, and then when these different chittas are actually developed to a certain extent, then you get to see the vijnana. How many vijnanas are there? There are. Now the vijnana concept, we call it consciousness. The consciousness. So consciousness has been developed by a post-Buddhist school, one of the post-Buddhist school called Yogacara philosophy. So this Yogacara philosophy is a later school developed by Asanga, and these philosophers they actually classified there could be at least 8 vijnanas. They are actually Buddhist vijnanas. They are not their own proposed vijnanas. So 6 vijnanas are clear here. Chakku vijnana, eye consciousness. Sota vijnana, ear consciousness. Gana vijnana, that means nose consciousness. Jivha vijnana means tongue consciousness. And then mano vijnana, body consciousness, or kaya vijnana. And then mano vijnana, mind consciousness. Then what about the rest of the 2? Anumiti vijnana, which is a yogacara element, yogacara addition, which means we guess about some other stuff, about people and other things. We guess. Like we sometimes guess about, okay, this is going to happen now. So that, they say, is a part of a particular vijnana called Anumiti vijnana. And the last one is pretty interesting. This is the vijnana we carry when we die. They call it Ale vijnana, stock consciousness, but we call it Bhavanga consciousness. That means when we die, this Bhavanga consciousness exits from the body. The body is going to be something that is left behind, and there is no temperature, there is no ayu, and then you go with your own Bhavanga. That's the Theravada is Bhavanga consciousness, Bhavanga vijnana. But the Yogacara way is Ale vijnana. Now, this is the basic way of looking at consciousness types. But now I was trying to tell you the difference between mano, chitta, and vijnana. In that analysis, I want to show you something. It is said that when an object impinges your one of the sense faculty, let's say now I'm looking at you, my piece of eyes. Somebody told me, like, you don't have eyes, piece of eyes, piece of ears, comes all in two. When my piece of eyes, keep them. When the object of the image impinges on my piece of eyes, then what happens? There is a mental state that is arisen. We call it chakku, then the rupa, we call it avajjana chitta in Abhidhamma. That means there is avajjana chitta, that because of the avajjana chitta, the objects approach our senses. I'm not going to go to details about it because it's kind of Abhidhamma teaching. But keep in mind, there is Abhidhamma teaching about how the objects impinge our sense faculties. That is done by another consciousness. We call it avajjana. Then what happens? Now there is the sense faculties within us. The objects are impinging because of that in-between consciousness. Then what's going to happen? Chakkuncha paticca rupecha uppajja. Then only there is a developed state that is arisen in our mind. We call it chakku vijnana. So if that is the case, vijnana parts of the mind are little developed states of our mind. So more than what we call the generic mind. But when there are two ways to look at it. One is they are initially developed states, but when the vijnanas, the particular sensory consciousnesses are being developed, there could be thoughts as well, like all this chittanupassana. Thoughts also arise because of the development of the consciousness. Now you understand there are different types of Pali terms for the mind. So here we see chetasa. Chetasa is another word too. It comes from thought, chetasa. So here, the Sotapanna person will never commit any, kinchapi sokamma karudupapaka kayana vacha udachetasa. So let's say if the Sotapanna person is to do a bad karma, except those 6 bad karma, which we discussed the other day, right? What are they? Let me ask you. Homework. What are they? Killing mother, killing father, wounding the Buddha, killing arahants. Schism, that means conflicting among the sangha. And then the last one is believing in a teacher who does not teach you the ending of suffering. These are the 6 bad. So these will never be done by a Sotapanna. But the funny thing is, Sotapanna may still do the other bad karma. It's not funny, right? Serious. That means they might do. Because the thing here is it's kind of dangerous. Let's say, in case if Sotapanna is to do other karmas except these 6, he or she won't stay in the samsara for long, for more than 7 lives. Okay, that means, don't underscore about the karma. Karma is very dangerous too. Don't ever think that I could do this bad karma, but I'm not going to do that bad karma. Don't try to contrast the bad karma. But it is said here, most of the bad karmas we do, except these 6, even for us, non-Sotapannas in case, they won't go beyond 7 life. Mostly they come after us within a 7 life of our death. That's the idea that we have to take. That is why Sotapanna may still have a chance of committing the rest of the bad karmas. But it is normally not going to happen. But still, there is a chance that may happen. Because even that happens, Sotapanna doesn't need to worry about it, because it is said in the Attakatha, Sotapanna does not even kill an ant. It is said. Or just imagine, Sotapanna won't kill anybody, right? Because Sotapanna has seen Buddha Dhamma Sangha very well, right? It is said in a commentary, Sotapanna doesn't even kill an ant, tiny creature. What about others? But in case, if the Mara troubles the Sotapanna doesn't have to worry, because Sotapanna never commits those 6 serious crimes, heinous crimes, so that she doesn't have to worry about the 8 lives after the 7th one. Ababbu, let's say, Ababbu sotassa paticchana. Ababbu, what is the meaning of Ababbu? Ababbu means ineligible. Ineligible for what? Tassa paticca, so tassa paticca, so means Sotapanna person. Tassa paticca, to conceal, to hide. Now, what's happening to many when they do a bad thing? When somebody does a bad thing, what's the immediate thought that arises in that person's mind? I want to conceal my bad. I wanna share with you a Jataka story about this. You know the Jataka stories, right? This Jataka story, I can't remember the name of the Jataka story, but I could find that for you maybe next time. There was a story, you know, the city of Taxila. Taxila is one of the very famous educational institutions at that time. So all the wealthy students go there to study. So one day, call it Disapamok, this teacher asked his students, 500 students, I'm going to give my daughter to somebody. If anybody goes faster to their houses and steal something and come back, return with that stolen something back to the school. The guys were really messed up, you know. And they were thinking how to go to our houses faster and then get something without noticing our parents and then give it to our teachers so that they have a chance. So they all were messed up. But there was one guy who was not concerned about it. He was just calmly doing his stuff. Then the teacher, Disapamuk, asked him to come over and then asked, why are you not concerned about my business? Because I said that. Go home and then steal something without noticing your parents. So I'm going to give my daughter. And he said something very interesting. Natti loke raho nama papakamma tapuprato. He said, now you, teacher, you told us, go home, steal something without noticing our parents, without showing that thing to our parents. But I know, even we are in a room, the tree spirits can still see us, what we are doing. Now we think that we lock the door and nobody can see us, but the tree spirits, the lower kind of deva, call them tree spirits, who are actually surrounding in the trees, they can still watch us, monitor us. So I think this idea is not a good idea because we already get caught by the tree spirits. So I don't want to do that. Oh, he was really surprised about this idea. It is said in Pali, if you think that it is only you who knows the bad thing you did, it is not like that. Tree spirits know what you do. But just because of this, don't be scared about that. They can't do it, I guess. But they know something is happening. Let's say you do a bad thing, they know what's happening. Especially they help the good folks who are not doing bad stuff. Right? That's the idea. So here, the Sotapanna person is ineligible to hide any bad thing that he or she might do except those 6. In Pali, we have a Upakkilesa. Have you heard this term called? Upakkilesa in Pali? Now we know Kilesa. Kilesa means defilements. What are the words for the bad mental states in Pali? What are the Pali words that we identify bad states of the mind? Common words. Now, kilesa is one word, one Pali word. Kilesa means defilements. We have a generic English word for that. Kilesa. What are the other Pali words? Any thoughts? Any ideas? Any guesses? Have you heard about this Pali term, asava? Asava. Sabbasava Sutta. Majjhima Nikayas are the suttas, famous suttas. Sabbasava Sutta. Asava and kilesa, are they same? No, they are same. Kilesa is one teaching and asava is another way of categorizing the bad mental states. Asava means, we call it in English, taints. T-A-I-N-T-S. Taints.
Yes.
Then, are there still another words for the bad mental states? Upakilesa. Kilesa and you add upa, UPA before kilesa. We call it upakilesa. There are around 15 upakilesas that we see in many suttas in Majjhima Nikaya. I guess you could see Anumana Sutta, Upakilesa suttas in Majjhima Nikaya. You can see these upakilesas. What are the upakilesas? Some people call it, these are the kilesas you do to create kilesas, the big ones. But some people say it is because of the kilesas you create upakilesas. Now, the English word for upakilesa, let me type it for you, otherwise you never know what I'm talking. Huh? What is he talking in Pali? Call it this is kilesas. Kilesa. Kilesa. This is the other one. You need to particularly distinguish these words, huh? Because these are not just words. These are reflective about our mental, the level of our mental states, right? Asavas. Now, let me tell you, what is the bigger idea of the bad mental states? Is it upakilesa, kilesa, or asava? Which one says the biggest threat to our mentality out of these? Asavas. They are called asavas. There are 4 asavas. Kama asava, that means what you call sensual pleasures is one of the asavas, taints. And then kama bhava, called about the existence. Then kama bhava, then what you call avijja, that means ignorance, and then ditti, views. So these are the 4 taints. So they are the highest layer of our bad mental qualities. And the kilesas are always, presented with 3 main kilesas, raga, dosa, moha. But when you say raga, dosa, moha, how do we understand our raga, dosa, moha? That is why we have to understand upakilesas. Right? Probably I can search that for you, particular sutta for upakilesa. Yeah. I guess there are 15 upakilesas. To my knowledge, see that. Okay, so the Majjhima Nikaya 7 and 8, I think, and 8. Yeah, Salleka Sutta. This is here, Salleka Sutta. This is Majjhima Nikaya 8. And Majjhima Nikaya 7, that means Vattu Sutta. Talk about the Upakilesas. Huh? Call it Vattupama actually. Vattupama. Okay, sorry, there are 16 Upakilesas. Huh? 16. Probably I can send that to you here. That'll be much better for you. Sixteen Upakilesas. Has anybody ever heard about this term, Upakilesa?
No.
No, okay, the first time. It's a brand new teaching for all of you then. Now I'm going to copy and paste these 16 Upakilesas. Okay, the chat. Okay, here we go. And then let me type the 4 asavas too.
Bhante, what about 1 to 8?
Sorry?
No. Okay.
Yeah, I already sent you. Can see in chat. There.
That's mentioned.
These are going to be asavas. We call it kings. Okay. Find asavas in Genesis. Even Sabbasava Sutta. Call it Majjhima Nikaya, I guess, 2. Bit of technical stuff. Huh? You know that what we talk have a heavy, kind of a substantial weight in Buddhism. Now, the point that I wanted to bring here is this. Now, Upakilesas. Now, if you take a look at our Upakilesas, you see number 9. Can you see that? What is number 9 here? Maya. What is Maya? Now, the translation might be a little incorrect here. Hypocrisy. I would say Maya is not hypocrisy on the surface level. I would say probably on a deeper context. Maya means concealing one's own faults. Maya. Okay, that's the proper meaning. So now the Sotapanna person has no such Maya quality. He has no Maya. She has no Maya. How about us? Do we sometimes conceal what we do, our faults? Or are we always like apologetic or saying, okay, I did that, I'm so sorry? I mean, out of the mistakes, faults that we do on a daily basis, are we always trying to apologize or take the responsibility? Do we try to hold accountable for what we do on a daily basis? We don't do that much. And be honest. That's the truth. I'm not saying too bad, you know. You are pretty good. I mean, of course, looking at the general society, it is said Sotapanna is never worried in coming out and say, I'm so sorry about that. I apologize for this. He or she is very open about it. That's one of the very good qualities of the Sotapanna. And we have seen some of our friends, good people or two like that. They are very what you call expressive about what they have done. So good people never hide, right? So Sotapanna person never hides, conceal, no Maya quality. Okay, so ababbo is ineligible, so that's a patichadaya means to conceal. Again, we see ababba, the word ababbata ditta padasya vutta. What is ababbata? Ababbata means not being able to conceal, not being able to hide. That the state of not being able to hide happens because of a reason. What is it? Ditta padasya vutta. Ditta padasya. What is padasya here? Padasya means the path. Nibbana path. So how does a Sotapanna person know the Nibbana path? We discussed the other day, the moment someone attains the fruit of Sotapanna, that person knows that I have yet to go till I finish my path to Nibbana. So he or she has a very unwavering, unshaking confidence about the path ahead, right? A very, what you call, unwavering, unshaken, very strong, positively strong. There are different things that are strongly positioned in us, right? Sometimes when you are very greedy, that might strongly affect us, establishment. But here, the Sotapanna person has seen the path of Nibbana. Because of that, Sotapanna person never won't hide his or her bad karma, except those 6, because can't say except those 6. Those 6 will never be done, but the rest of the bad karma, in case he or she may do. Okay, that's it. Idampi sangha. This is one of the qualities of the sangha. Etena sanchena suvarti. May you be happy, right? Any questions about this stanza? I think one important thing to raise here is what you call apology, about apologizing. You know, we do that actually. At the end of puja, like a chanting puja, we have 3 verses that we have made, right? Normally, in a puja we do, right? Can you remember the 3 verses we do to apologize from the Buddha Dhamma Sangha? Kayena vacha chittena pamadena mayakata acchayang kamame bhante uripanyavata acchayang kamame dhamma sandittikata acchayang kamame sangha supatipan. Let's find out the meaning now. Then we will understand what we've been doing. Otherwise, there are people who chant, they never, what did I say? Yeah? I don't know about Pali. I just said it's part of the puja. I don't want to know that. The monk says and I say, that's it. Okay, kayena vacha chitte. Again, the same thing here. Kayena vacha, kayena chetasa vacha. That means body, speech, and the mind. Chitte. Pamadena mayaka. Pamade. Pamadena means negligence. Why do people make mistakes? Because they are negligent. If you struggle with raga, dosa, moha, that means there is a huge delay in you, right? For what? How do we take it? How do we see this delay? With sati. If I had a lot of mindfulness, I wouldn't have done that bad activity. That means I was delayed in my performance, right? So, if I have done any bad karma out of the body, speech, mind, because of due to the what you call negligence, then acchayam kamame bandha. What is acchaya? What is acchaya? Another Pali word for the mistake or fault. This is another friend of us, Chanisa, from Bangkok. Welcome, Chanisa.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Nice to meet all of you.
Nice to meet you as well here on our platform. You can mute your mic, I guess, and you can listen to us. Great. So acchaya means a mistake, fault. Now acchaya means fault. Then kama me bhante. Kama means forgive me, forgive. Kama means forgive. Acchaya to the fault, the mistake. From whom? Bhuri panda. Tathagata, the Buddha who has a very deep knowledge. Then acchaya kama me dhamma. Sanditthika, the teaching of the Buddha, which is sanditthika. That means immediately effective and then helpful to our life. Supatipanna, sangha acchaya kama me sangha supatipanna. That means forgive from the sangha who have stepped onto the right path. Now that means in every chanting or puja, we always apologize. I don't know how many of you know that. We do that. But the problem is because we don't know the meaning, we don't do it properly. Because apology is a purification of our activities, actions, thoughts, and speech. That's why it's very important. So, Sotapanna person apologizes very well, right? Okay, any questions before we move on to the next stanza?
Bhante, I
Yeah.
would like to ask about the Vijnana again, development of the about the consciousness.
Vijnana.
Vijnana, yes, Vijnana. How many are they in total, Bhante? How many Vijnana are they?
There are 7. There are in Theravada there are 7, but there is a different post-Buddhist philosophical Yogacara. They call it 8, but I don't think you have to take that. It's a different school. Let's take 7, because 6 sensory consciousnesses: Chakku, Sota, Gana, Jiva, Kaya, Mano, and then Bhavanga Vijnana. I actually could not tell you something very interesting. Somebody might ask, how does our consciousness part work? Actually, all these consciousness types arise, stay, perish within the Bhavanga Vijnana. That means when you die, you have to exit from this body, that is Bhavanga Vijnana. This Bhavanga Vijnana goes to another body. And then what happens? Again, because your Bhavanga Vijnana, that is what we call karmic consciousness, went on to another life, another body. Then again, the sensory perceptions, 6 types of sensory perceptions arise, stay, perish.
Thank you, Bhante.
I recall in psychology or medical science, zygote, right? Is it zygote? Gandhapa. So when the Bhavanga Vijnana, karmic consciousness exists, that means you die, we call it a name. Once it is out of the body, we call it a zygote, Gandhapa. This Gandhapa, when pretty interesting, when your karmic consciousness goes out of this body, your karmic consciousness is going to be more genius than it stays during the time you live. Interesting. Now it has come to a body, and there are other sensory consciousness types working. But when you die, when it has to go out of your body, your karmic consciousness becomes smarter, more genius, because that's the time We call it a zygote in science. At the same time, karmic consciousness has to immediately find a place to stay. Otherwise, has to just linger in the samsara for long. Okay, other questions we'll move up to the end of the discussion. We'll go to the next answer. Verse number 12.
Bhante, someone posed a question.
Okay, let me see. Bhante, can I ask about wrong views? Okay, one of the asavas. Wrong view is a very subtle way. It is not easy to identify wrong. Well, wrong view is easy to understand. If you look at the text, it is called michaditti, right? Wrong view, because we have samadhi, right view, and michaditti. Wrong view means there are a couple things that you need to understand about life. I think I have a slide on my blog. Let me take a look. Show you. Probably. Samadhi. I actually prepared these slides because I conduct a Buddhism class to some Japanese nationals with translation. So pretty easy to show because of that. Right view. See. Okay, I have it here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share my screen like the other day. Okay. Come yet. Okay. That's it, right? Okay, right way. Now, in Buddhism, there are two types of right way. Right way, mundane one, and the noble one. That means when you become an arahant, you don't have the mundane right. You have the noble right. So I have a flyer, kind of a graphical one to show you. You can see here, these are us unenlightened folks. These are the enlightened folks, ascetas or arahants. See, if you, now, I think Heng asked me how to figure out samadhi from michaditti, especially for unenlightened beings. There are 10 factors to decide that. Let's say if somebody believes there is merit in giving dana, there is merit in giving large offering, probably big ones. You are constructing, I would say, a place for the elderly, maybe a place for people who are in need, something like that. Small offerings. There are results from good and bad actions. Mother is a special person. Take care of mother. Father is a special person. Take care of your father. There is this world where we live now. There will be other realms too in Buddhism. There are spontaneously reborn beings like Deva and some other beings. And there are ascetics, wise people, who develop special powers through direct knowledge, that is bhavana. Now, if somebody does not believe and live according to these 10, that means the opposite. He or she doesn't believe there is no result of the dana, no result of big dana, small dana, no actions, good, bad action. I don't care my mother, I don't care my father. I don't believe in this world. I don't think there are other worlds. I don't believe Deva. I don't believe people who meditate and then get up to different mental states. That is michaditti. So, see, the noble folks have a different, I don't want to get into that. It's too detailed. So, Mahachattarika Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya, 117. I'm going to send this to you, Heng, or all of you, so you can take a look at that later. It's additional information. Okay. Is that clear to all of you? Okay, thank you. Who is going to recite the next stanza, verse number 12? One after Gumbe. Probably we can ask somebody who has not been able to recite so far. Who is out there? I don't want to name if you want to take the challenge by yourself. Who hasn't, yeah. Lucy, do you have the text with you? Ratana Sutta?
Yes, Bhante.
You want to give it a try?
Uh, okay.
Okay, let's see.
Can you hear me?
Pardon me?
Can you hear me, Bhante?
I'm always here, don't worry. Take the chat.
No,
Yes.
I'm worried that my sound is not so good.
That's
Is it
okay.
okay?
That's okay. Yeah. Verse
Oh,
number
is
12.
it number 12? Is it the
Vanapagum.
okay? Vanapagum he yata positage gimhan amase patamasming gimhe tatu pamam dhamma warang adisaye nibbana gamin paramang hitaye idam pibodhe ratanang panitang ethena sachena suwati hutu.
Great. That's great.
Thank
Thank you, Lucy. Yeah. Lucy is joining from Philippines. So she used to go to temples in Singapore. And yeah, it's good. Yeah. Let me recite too. Vanapagumbe yatha pussitake gimhana mase patha masmin gimhe tatupamang dhamma varang adesai nibbana gami paramang hitai idam vibuddhe patanam panitam etena satchena suvate. Yeah. Thank you, Lucy. This stanza is about the Buddha, but the way how it is given is to highlight the importance of the Dhamma that reflects the Nibbana. Vanapagumbe. What is Vanapagumbe? Vana is forest, but what is Gumba? Gumba is grow, forest grow. Pussitage means full blown. Full blown, it is like a forest grow that is full grown. We have to imagine this could be the first early time of the summer, after the spring, I guess. So Vana means forest, but Gumba means grow. Pussitage means when the forest grow is in full blossom. Gimhana mase patamasmin gimhe. Gimhana means summer. Now you know the Pali word for summer. Gimhana is the Pali word. Gimhana. Mase means month. Gimhana, summer. Mase means a month. Patama means first. Patamasmin gimhe. That means there are a couple quarters to the summer. How many quarters there could be? How many months there could be in the summer? In Pali, it is said there are 4 months. So this could be early now. The translation says it could be April, early summer. Yeah. So this is about India. It's not about other country. So early summer, that means the first month. Patama means first. Just like a forest grow or crown in full blossom, in the first month of the summer. Gimhana means summer. Tatupamang dhamma varang adesai. Now the Buddha actually compares the forest grove that is in full blossom to the Dhamma, sublime Dhamma. Because if the forest grove that is full blossom is visibly seen as the top, it is as the Dhamma. It is equal, it is similar to the Dhamma. Tatupamang Dhamma varang adisai. So the Buddha taught a Dhamma that is similar to the scenario we see in a forest grove that is in full blossom in the first month of the summer. Nibbana gamin paramang hitai. Now that Dhamma Varang means sublime, Dhamma. That particular sublime doctrine, that means Nibbana Dhamma, it is being more descriptive here. Nibbana Gami Paramakitaya. So that Dhamma leads us to the path of the Nibbana. Idam Vibhuddhi Ratanam Panitam. This is one of the qualities of the Buddha. Right? So that means this Dhamma has to lead us to the Nibbana. Are there any circumstances where the Dhamma does not lead us to the Nibbana and lead us to a colorful Buddhism? Does it happen to us in our societies? Sometimes we do a lot of things, but we are not going anywhere. We just do the same thing, repeat the same thing every day, every month, every year. We have big annual ceremonies, but we're not going anywhere. We have the same qualities, but we say, okay, I have done a lot of good karmas. That means the Dhamma that we are practicing does not take us anywhere. We have been struggling, we have been stagnated. That's why you learn Dhamma here, right? So that means the Dhamma that we learn should be able to take us to the path. If not, it's a colorful Buddhism, I understand. So, etena satchena suvattiho. This is also one of the truths. So may you be happy, may you be well on account of the truth. We had to do the verse number 13 too today. Any questions about this stanza, verse number 12? I was looking at the limbs background pictures like the forest grove, the first month of the summer. Well, he may have noted. Okay, there are no questions. We'll take one more minute and then go to the next stanza. Looks like no questions so far, so we'll go to the next stanza. If you have questions, you can ask at the end. Okay, who's going to read at this point? Suresh, you haven't tried anything. You want to try? That's a big no, huh? Okay, anybody else? So I think similar to learning Dhamma, I want you to get to know some Pali. So, otherwise you can bring the book and take the book to the shrine room and then recite whatever you think in the text and come back. Nobody knows what you recite.
Can I try actually?
Oh, yeah.
So if I'm wrong, if I'm wrong, please fix me. I want to practice. Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. Varo varanu varado varaharo anuttaro dhamma varam adesai idampi putte ratana panitham etena satchena suvati hotu.
What's wrong there? Everything was good. You did. So,
I just want to practice it. Right.
It's great. So it's great. Thank you, Pongi. Varo varanyu varadu varahar anutteru dhamma varan adesai idam vibhutte ratanam panitam etena satchena. So we are more concerned about the first two lines here. Now, in order for us to understand the meaning of this stanza, what's the easiest way to pick here? Vara, 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 vara. What's the meaning of vara? Varu, varan, vara, vara. What is vara here? Vara means?
Excellent. Yeah.
That's how the translation has been given here, but there is something subtle that we need to understand here. Vara means nibbana. Nibbana. So here, There are a couple other meanings, but the major meaning is vara. Here is. Do we have a question over here? Okay, Chan, I will get to your question at the end. Don't worry. Okay. Vara means the one who has understood the Four Noble Truths without the support of anybody. The Buddha actually attained nibbana without the support of anybody. Varanyu, the person who knows the Noble Truths. You know, this is without the support of anybody. The one who has it, and then the one who knows it. Varado means the one, that's the Buddha, who is giving the nibbana to others. That means nibbana cannot be given to others, right? Teaching, in the sense of teaching, right? Then Varaharu. Varaharu means Varaharu. Hara means bringer. Bringer. I would say somebody, bearer, we call bearer. Somebody who takes that message to somebody. So giver and bringer. The bringer, that is the Buddha, the bringer of the Nibbana. Anuttaru means incomparable, unparalleled. Unparalleled is the Buddha. Varang Dhammang, Dhammang Varang again, that means supplying Dhamma. Now, all these, what do you call these terms? I would say appellations in English, or epithets or appellations for the Buddha, especially the quality of the Buddha in terms of the Nibbana. So, how do we understand the Buddha? He is the person who has Nibbana. He is the one who knows it very well. He is the one who gives it, who presents, who teaches us. He is the one who brings this to other folks. So all these Pali words talk about the Buddha through the quality of the Nibbana. Okay, I think with that, we will be doing verse number 14, 15, with those three stanzas next week. But any questions so far with all these stanzas? Okay, let me get to Chan's question now. Do the laypersons able to see the glimpse of Nibbana in this present modern time, since Buddha is not around? The short answer is yes. The long answer is if the lay people or whoever, we call it, don't call lay people or monks. Let's call it unenlightened folks. Monks and lay people are all unenlightened. I mean, they haven't attained Nibbana, right? So let's say unenlightened people. So monks have taken an initiative to commit to that thing, right? But it doesn't mean a lay person is behind them all the time. We don't know. We don't know the mental quality of the different people, right? There may be lay people who might have a very serene mind. We never know. How do we know that? Can we tell somebody's quality of the mind just by looking at that person? Okay, this guy is a very nasty guy. I can see it, but it's wrong. We don't know what's going on with that person. But there may be a good person who has been ordained too. We never know. It's a very personal thing. So rather than calling lay people or monastics with the Nibbana, I would say let's call folks unenlightened folks, unenlightened beings. Can unenlightened beings get a glimpse of the Nibbana? Yes, as long as they know the Tiparivatta and Dwadasakara. I think I already shared with you. If you look at the Ratana Sutta, it is clearly said that the Four Noble Truths have to be understood under three main cycles and then 12 sub ways. So it's possible. Tiparivatta and Dwadasakara. Please read Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, Samyutta Nikaya. Let me tell you. It's going to be Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, Samyutta Nikaya, 56.11. If you read it, you can see these terms. If any, now the flip side of this question is that, I get it, why don't we really understand the Four Noble Truths? It is because we struggling with the surface level understanding of the Four Noble Truths. That's why we don't understand it as it was given. We know it. We know these are the Four Noble Truths. Probably some people might say Ti-Parivatta, Dosakara too, but they never know. They don't jump into the context, deep context of the Four Noble Truths. So Chan is possible as long as the person knows the Four Noble Truths through Ti-Parivatta, 3 rounds, and then the 12 ways. If you read the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, you will get to that, get to know it well. Any questions out of the Ratana Sutta we did today, the stanzas, and then the probably previous questions too? Probably I'm going to ask some questions from you at the end, not today, from the stanzas we've been doing, so then we can self-check whether I know the meanings very well, especially the deep context. Today we did verse number, I think you may have questions about verse number 11, because verse number 12 and 13 are a little bit, about the Buddha. I mean, not too much Dhamma in that. It's about praising the Buddha, especially in different terms. But verse number 11 has things to learn about our Dhamma path to attain Sotapanna and what will happen to a Sotapanna's life. Why is a Sotapanna not doing bad activities, bad acts? That's the verse number 11 about what you call the nature of a Sotapanna. When Sotapanna is to do a bad act, reflect anything about the fallibility. What do you call fallibility? The nature of mistaking that can happen, that happens to us in our normal life. Let's take it to our life, because this fallibility is that you may do a bad act, right? Some people might say things can happen, but there is always something to think about, right? You can always bounce back.
Bhante, I just feel like it's kind of similar to last week for the 11th verse. Sounds like it sounds like what you say. So the wording, it sounds like the person who achieves Sotapanna would not capable to do, but it sounds like actually a person who has been enlightened would obtain this quality through their personality because they had seen. I think it's similar to the previous verse we discussed last week about they could not commit those things because they had obtained such quality.
Yeah.
So, right.
Yeah, this stanza is an extended version of how they not do the bad act, but there is another layer that is not given in the previous one. That means they still do bad acts, except those 6. That is interesting, because Sotapanna person only eliminates 3 fetters only: personality, identity view, doubts, and then the clinging to rights and ritual. What about the other 7? Kamaraga, but he still have lust. She still have lust for the stuff, the people. He or she still have hatred. He or she still have desire to be born in the Rupa world, Arupa world, he or she still have conceit. He or she still have restlessness of the mind, not always having sati mindful. He or she still have ignorance, especially you won't get to ignorance, cutting ignorance with an nibbana. So now, suppose there is somebody who is trying to hit the biggest goal in the first place. There are people, I want to attain nibbana tonight. Rather than thinking that bigger goal, the biggest goal, if you look at a Sotapanna, that means we have still, I would say, we can still take us to a life of a Sotapanna. That means we still may do any bad acts, but we are trying not to, but still that can happen. So by minimizing our remorse, our regret, we can still cut down our samsara. I think that's I would say it's a very good suggestion to people who are always stuck between nibbana and a very, what you call, karma sensuous life. There are lots of people, they are in between. There are folks who are too much involved with the sensual pleasures, or there are people who are too much involved in hitting the biggest target. So they are in they're in a limbo, to my understanding. I think the Sotapanna, the way how the Ratana Sutta presents the Sotapanna's way of committing bad, Sotapanna's way of not concealing, hiding his or her bad act. It's a wonderful temperament, characteristics for us to learn, and then to think about a life as an imprint. I think that's a very important thing that we can learn here. It doesn't mean that you can do bad acts, but because you haven't attained such a higher level other than Sotapanna, you may still commit in different forms. But we try to minimize as much as we can. There's a question, Aliana, there's a question from you. Is Sakkaya Ditthi the same as Miccha Ditthi? Interesting question. Now, being a layperson, you can practice samadhi, the mundane samadhi, which I showed you on the slide. But Sakkaya Ditthi is a step higher than the mundane samadhi. Because now let's say you are not enlightened, you are not an enlightened person, but still you can do the mundane samadhi. We call lokiya samadhi. But if you are someone who has eliminated Sakkaya Ditthi, that means you are slowly going towards the Arya path, the noble path. That means there is a difference between the types of samadhi and the Sakkaya Ditthi. So I would say, don't talk about the noble samadhi. It's what you call the lokottara samadhi. The mundane samadhi is not equal to the elimination of Sakkaya Ditthi, because when you overcome the Sakkaya Ditthi, you are halfway of the nibbana actually. But those folks who don't want to get out of the samsara still can practice the mundane samadhi just by doing dana and all that. So I would say lots of people who are not thinking about hitting the biggest target, nibbana, they still practice samadhi, but the mundane one. But those folks who want to attain nibbana, they're going further, they are the ones who are eliminating Sakkaya Ditthi by going a step further. So there's a difference.
Thank you, Bhante.
Any other questions? Take a minute or two. another way to look at this question, Alia, now anybody can do the mundane samadhi, but the sakkaya, overcoming the sakkaya is a very big task to many, because you are trying to deconstruct. I would call it deconstruct, because we always construct. This is my, even you think about the spiritual stuff. This is my place. This is my thing. This is my I, me, myself. This construction is, as we progress, even the colorful Buddhist stuff, what do we call it? Colorful Buddhist stuff, you progress with that thinking. So you are not deconstructing, but still you have samadhi. That's interesting. You have the mundane samadhi. But sakkaya ditthi means someone who is already practicing mundane samadhi and then trying to deepen that practice, going to the lokottara level. That means, though you do that, then, but you are doing by deconstructing. You don't worry about it. Let's say whether you are criticized, whether you are praised, you don't care about that. Just say thank you, that's it. You are not wavered.
Bhante, this last question, this sakkaya ditthi and this miccha ditthi, I don't know, if I am wrong, please let me know. Then according to my knowledge, I think sakkaya ditthi for this positive side, and the miccha means this the negative side. Is it? I feel like that actually the samadhi and the miccha ditthi, that means samadhi means we are towards the Buddha's path for this enlightenment, is whatever the thing, right? Then miccha means that we are following a wrong. Is it that meaning?
No, miccha ditthi is the opposite of the samadhi. Okay, the right view and wrong view. So now the question she's asking is, what is the connection of the sakkaya ditthi to this context? Samadhi or miccha ditthi? I was trying to explain is that sakkaya ditthi is a further level of the noble person, the path of the noble person. So we cannot compare sakkaya ditthi to the because there are two types of samadhi, mundane and extra mundane. So let's say somebody goes to a temple and offer dana. Does it mean that person not having sakkaya ditthi? No, that person thinks about, may I be reborn in a heaven, tusita, tavatinsa. So may I be having lots of comforts in next life, this life. So lots of sakkaya ditthi in that perspective. That is mundane samadhi. So that is why it is said this samadhi has two types. The what you call the primary level of samadhi is the mundane one. That person is still engaging in samadhi without miccha-ditthi. That person has no miccha-ditthi, because miccha-ditthi means if you have those 10 in the opposite way, those 10 I showed you. So, but the level of the elimination of sakkaya-ditthi is a pretty higher level. So that is exactly happening when you are entering the extra mundane samadhi, noble, what you call right way. So and the Buddha said in one of the suttas, miccha ditthi bhikkave paramang vajjani dissanti. I declare wrong view is the worst bad quality a being can ever have. I was thinking, how does this happen? Let's say you have a miccha ditthi. You don't care about beings. Then what happens? You don't care about anybody. Let's say you don't know about the ending of the suffering. Then you're going to be pretty much a nuisance, annoyance to many other folks. You can kill people, beings, you can steal, you can misbehave, you can lie, you can do all the bad things because your vision is wrong. Your way of, your perspective is wrong. The Buddha said this is the worst problem, right? So let's say at least you have this sakkaya ditthi, but you have the right perspective. You are still establishing yourself onto the path. You're not doing the bad things. You are not doing a bad thing. You are not a bad person, but you are not going to nibbana. That's the way how we have to look at it. Let's say someone has the right view, the mundane one. You are a good person, but no, you are not attaining nibbana, because you still have to continue to the elimination of the sakkaya ditthi and become a sotapanna. So still I want to share with you, sakkaya ditthi is a higher level of elimination more than the miccaditthi. And of course, ditthis are the problem, right? Views are the problem. We always clash with others because of the view. This is my view, my opinion. You need to understand and think about the family issues. The man talks, the woman talks, nobody hears. Even the pets don't hear what's going to happen. Right? Some people are there, they want to take the last word, right? Because of the views, because I think you have to understand, right? That's why the Buddha said we have to be very careful about the views, right? All the views are problematic. Then somebody might ask, then why did the Buddha talk about samadhi? Yeah, there's an answer. The answer is, although all the views are problematic, but still people should give a chance to have a framework, right? Now, for example, when you call your son and daughter or somebody, the world is a very hectic place. You have to be very careful. Then you also have to give a sense of good people too, right? This is the way how we have to work on these things, right? So that is why the idea of samadhi has been given. But at the end, when you attain nibbana, you even overcome all the ditthis, views. You don't carry any views at that point. Okay, any more questions?
One more thing, actually, the Bhante, this, for example, this Malaysia, I have seen this letter T we are using for most of the time as a T, but not the T. So previously, I don't know, previously have you done any, actually, how we pronounce these words in actually the correct chanting? For example, then ditti or ditti, actually, vision, ditti, then normally, I don't know, then for the English, it's very difficult to write, getting the correct pronunciation in the Pali. So what are the guidelines you can give us for that one? Have you done any previous session for those things?
Okay, an interesting question. That is why Pali language has no letters. Interesting, huh? Sanskrit has letters, the Devanagari letters. English has letters. Have you ever heard the Pali language has its own writing style letters? No. The Burmese people, they chant the way that in their own letters. Sri Lankan people, they have their own way. The Thai people, they have their own way. There's no orthography, we call orthography, right? That is why Pali language doesn't have it for some reasons. To my understanding, if you ask from a Burmese somebody, what chanting are you doing? They might talk about, this is the best chanting that we do in Pali. It will happen in other countries too, unless you are an open-minded person. To my understanding, when you are someone who is trying to find the proper chanting, you probably need to learn from a teacher, Pali teacher. Now, the same example as you said, ditti, it is not dit now, in my understanding, because I studied Pali in my bachelor's, my undergrads, many years back, in my period of time. And I did Sanskrit for my PhD, but a Buddhist topic. We are used to pronounce it in a way that we know that we differentiate the non-aspirants and the aspirants. That's why I'm always asking you to lay emphasis, put emphasis when there's H, consonant H. So if you ask me the correct pronunciation in the Pali way that we study, we could say, not ditti. But just because you have to pronounce, you're gonna pronounce ditti, you might sometimes make a big problem among the audience. Be careful, right? Ditti, right? Remember, there was a young boy who was supposed to be reincarnated in Sri Lanka, Dhammaruwan. In many decades back in Sri Lanka, he started reciting all the suttas by memory. Interesting. You can even listen to his chanting on YouTube. This small guy, I think he was like 2-3 years old. He chant without looking at a book, the whole suttas. Then he was taken to a hypnotic guy and said that, how come this person is chanting the proper way, but his chanting is very soft, not like a monk is chanting with a rough voice section. So he's chanting in a very soft voice. He's not, he doesn't have the tone, the accent that we see in many places in today's world. So people in here started to believe this is the correct chanting the Dhammaruwan has, right? Because he's been reincarnated, probably is a good monk in a previous life. See, he's chanting Ratana Sutta, Mangala Sutta, Metta Sutta without just not looking at anything. His parents were like this, taken aback. What's going on here? So I would say, chant in terms of the chanting style, this could be different from country to country. I'm not saying Sri Lanka is the best, Thailand is the best, Burma is the best, Cambodia is the best. Probably a white person might chant in a different way, right? So it's different. So to my understanding, it depends on where you learn. It depends on where you learn. So, but a lot of people study Pali from Sri Lankan style, so that's a way. So I would say, in your example, ditti is a good way of pronouncing. That is a good way of pronouncing. Because the thing is that people don't understand otherwise. But we should never call one country's style is better or the other one. That might make some issues, you know what I mean? Because they have their own ways of pronouncing. But if somebody wants to study different style, there is a way. Okay, looks like there are no questions. You may have questions, so we can discuss another day. So let's transfer all the good karmas now to the departed people and the Devas Nagas. May all the good karmas that we've been accumulating so far be transferred to all the departed relatives who passed away in the name of all of us. Let's say your departed parents, maybe siblings, even if you don't see anybody in this life, probably your relatives in your previous lives. How many billions, trillions of lives we've been dying, reborn, right? So may all these departed relatives be able to receive all these good karmas. If they were reborn in a place where they are having excruciating pains, may they be able to release from those bad realms and then be reborn in a better place. And then listen to more Dhamma that is taking them to nibbana. And finally, may they be able to be well and happy and then attain the supreme bliss of nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let's recite the stanzas. Idang me nyati nang hontu sukita hontu nyate. Idang me nyati nang hontu sukita hontu nyate. Idang me nyati nang hontu sukita hontu nyate. The next is to share good karmas with the Deva, Naga, and all the powerful non-humans. May all the good karmas that we've been accumulating by discussing Dhamma, engaging in the Dhamma, and then discussing additional Dhamma factors about how to become a Sotapanna and the nature of the Sotapanna. May all these good karmas be shared by all the Devas, deities, Nagas, serpents, and all the other non-humans. May they be well and happy at the same time. May they protect and bless all of us, monastics in those temples and all the devotees, participants in many countries here. May all you be protected, blessed, and given safety, good health, prosperity. May all your good wishes come true. Finally, may all the Devas, Nagas, and Mahikas also attain the supreme bliss of nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let's recite the stanzas. So we have two types of stanzas. The first one is Ittavatacha. Ittavatacha amhehi sambhatang punya sampadang. Sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavatacha amhehi sambhatang punya sampadang. Sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavatacha ammehi sambhatang punya sampadang. Sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Aka satta cha bhummatta devanaga mahintika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkang tuluka sasana. Aka satta cha bhummatta devanaga mahintika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkang tudesana. Aka satta cha bhummatta devanaga mahintika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkang tumang paranti chirang rakkang tupang sada. Also, we haven't done that actually in the previous discussions, and we always have a wish to make. The wish is to become connected to the Kalyana Mitas, not to be with the Papa Mitas. Imina punya kammene bami bala samadam satang samadam yava nibbana pattiya. May I be able to be in the company of the wise friends, Kalyanikas, till I attain nibbana. Finally, may all the good karmas that we've been accumulating to this point be helpful for all of us to attain the supreme bliss of nibbana in this very life. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now I'm going to be blessing you with a couple more stanzas. Please receive the blessings. Abhivadana silis nichang vadha pachayi chattaro dhamma vadhanti ayuvan sukhang balang ayurarokya sampatti sangha sampatti nevacha ato nibbana sampatti iminati saminjati. By the power of the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, may all your fears go away. By the power of the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, may all your sufferings go away. By the power of the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, may all your sicknesses go away. May all you be safe, happy, and then prosperous. Thank you and have a good night. And we're going to be seeing you all next Friday, same time.